Sleep, the one thing everyone can do. Well, not exactly. Nothing is more appealing than a made bed to sleep in during a cold evening. The setting is enough to make any individual fall asleep instantly. Imagine this setting and you continue to sleep in it every night. By this point, you're in adolescence. The days go by, days turn to weeks, that turn into months, then years have passed. Now you're well into your 40s and sleep quality does not seem to be what it used to. You find it more difficult to fall asleep. You roll these insomniac episodes to be the results of everyday stressors. However, you begin to realize how you sleep less and less as the months go by. This lack of sleep eventually takes its toll on your daily life as you continue to struggle to fall asleep. The events described may seem relatively common. After all, we sleep less with age. Although this is true, the disorder previously detailed is known as fatal familial insomnia. This condition causes an individual to eventually die from their inability to sleep. Two forms of fatal insomnia exist, the one previously mentioned and sporadic fatal insomnia. Before we dive deeper into the two disorders, let's get up to speed with a basic understanding of how sleep works. We have a gland, known as the pineal gland, situated in the brain. The structure's main function is to produce melatonin, a hormone responsible for moderating one's circadian rhythms. The gland responds to darkness by releasing melatonin. In turn, melatonin relaxes the body and helps in the process of falling asleep. The thalamus is another structure in the brain responsible for moderating sleep. Our eyes communicate with the thalamus via neurons. They let our brain know how we are in an environment filled with light, which may hinder sleep, or in a dimly lit environment, which can promote sleep. Sleep is essential as it helps in multiple facets of life. For instance, it can help with learning, memory, improving our immune system, repairing damaged tissue, and several other factors. The sleep process itself can be broken down into four separate stages. Three stages are grouped into non-rapid eye movement sleep, and the final one is referred to as rapid eye movement sleep, which is also known as REM sleep. The average human requires about 4 to 6 cycles of these phases to feel rested on a given day. Now, there is an identified gene mutation that can contribute to some individuals needing less sleep than the usual recommended 8 hours. These individuals are rare, however. It is impossible for us to train ourselves to need less sleep. Sorry to break it to all of you who are currently in training. This need for sleep is apparent since when we do not receive adequate rest, we compensate by taking a nap or perhaps sleeping more hours. Before we continue talking about the main topic of this video, it should be acknowledged how rare of a condition fatal familial insomnia and sporadic fatal insomnia are. Only an estimated 1 to 300 individuals out of the entire US population have fatal familial insomnia. Moreover, only about 25 cases of sporadic fatal insomnia have been recognized worldwide. Let's begin by speaking about fatal familial insomnia first. The condition is not classified as a sleep disorder. Instead, it is recognized as a disease involving neural deterioration. Degeneration of the neurons affected occurs because of a protein. Proteins are structures in our body responsible for several functions. An important characteristic of theirs is that their structure is composed of several folds. Proper folding patterns are essential so proteins can operate appropriately. Now, a prion is an important type of protein to consider when speaking about fatal familial insomnia. This infectious agent can cause proteins in the brain to fold in an unusual manner. Prion disease is what results when one is infected by a prion. It involves the creation of several neurotoxic misfolded proteins that can cause fatality in as little as a couple months to a few years. Fatal familial insomnia is characterized by the presence of many prions accumulating in the thalamus. These proteins accumulate in other areas of the brain as well, but the disease's effect is brought upon because of the damage it causes to the thalamus. As we discussed previously, the thalamus is a vital structure for sleep regulation. The neurotoxicity elicited by these prions promotes the deterioration of neural connections in the structure. Fatal familial insomnia requires a genetic mutation on the PRNP gene to be specific. Hence, this condition is genetic. An approximate 70 families are expected to exemplify this mutation out of the worldwide population. The disorder, along with sporadic fatal insomnia, is said to involve 4 stages. The first stage involves insomnia that worsens with time. Stage 2 is when effects on the nervous system become apparent. Mood changes can also occur during this portion, such as the manifestation of anxiety or depression. Stage 3 is when sleeping becomes most difficult. Cognitive declines become apparent in stage 4, as an individual is no longer able to sleep, they will go into a coma and eventually die. Sporadic fatal insomnia is somewhat different. As the name implies, it is not a condition that is hereditarily. It is not a condition that is hereditarily obtained. Nevertheless, it is also fatal. Individuals with this condition lack the genetic mutation experienced by those with fatal familial insomnia, but they still show similar prion protein abnormalities. Much research remains to be done regarding sporadic fatal insomnia. Researchers believe that these abnormalities occur spontaneously, thus why the word sporadic is used to classify the disorder. Additionally, the onset of fatal familial insomnia in adolescence is rare. Often, this condition manifests in adult individuals, that is, those who are anywhere from 19 to 65 years old. Although sleep is a natural part of our day, we should certainly not take it for granted.